Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Marcin Kumar. In this episode, we'll be discussing President Donald Trump's record decision to halt aid to Ukraine and examining the implications for Ukraine's ability to defend itself without US support. We'll also explore the critical role Europe can and must play in Ukraine's ongoing defense efforts. To help us unpack the geopolitical dynamics at play during this crucial moment, we're joined by Marcin Bużański. He's Director of the Center for Diplomacy and Negotiation at Collegium Civitas, and Steven Moore, founder of this Ukraine Freedom Project. Gentlemen, welcome both to TV World, and thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks, Hashim.
I'll start with you, if I may, Marcin. Your analysis of President Trump's decision to pause weapons transports to Ukraine.
Well, I think this decision has been in the making for some time. It's been on the table. Trump and his administration officials have mentioned this several times, that it is an option, that if there won't be any kind of progress from the side of Ukraine towards some kind of a peace deal or expression of interest in a peace deal, they might hold the support, the military support, they might freeze the aid. And of course, the events on Friday, the showdown in the White House has accelerated this decision. It's very regrettable. It's a very, very difficult decision for Ukraine. It is designed to force Ukraine to concede that it will sit down and negotiate, although it's designed almost to do it without preconditions, which is very, very hard for Ukraine to do. So we should be, of course, hopeful that it might be reversed and sooner than later. But I think that President Donald Trump has in many, many ways already expressed his very strong stance when it comes to potential talks with Vladimir Putin, meaning that he sees that these talks should happen regardless of the consequences, the entry consequences for Ukraine. And I think this is the position that Ukraine finds itself in, and it needs to find a way to either build strong enough support from Europe to continue.
I want to come to that in just a second, Marcin, but before we move on to Europe, I'd like to get Steven's view on President Zelensky's conversation, if we can call it that, with President Trump and Vice President Vance. Did Zelensky not go there with a view to signing a minerals deal, or is that, in your opinion, distinct from some kind of peace deal proposition?
Well, I think that, and let me preface this by saying I'm very pro-Ukraine. I live in Kyiv. I got there on day 5 of the war to help, and I've spent the last 3 years trying to build Republican support for Ukraine. And I think President Zelensky was ill-advised to take that stance in the White House. Actually, he was very well advised by General Kellogg, who told him not to go, and by Senator Lindsey Graham, who told him once he got there, go in, flatter Trump, smile, and no matter what happens, just smile and thank Trump some more, sign the deal and then leave. And so J.D. Vance set a trap for Zelensky, and Zelensky dove into it head first. And I understand it was hard to take, but there's a limited number of people in the world that can give President Zelensky the weapons or the security guarantees that he needs. And those people are Donald Trump. Belgium controls $250 billion in frozen Russian assets that they've done nothing with. There's some leaders in Europe that can build, that can send Ukraine weapons or money. So there's a limited number of people in the world And I think that Zelensky did not forward his cause by causing this rift between him and Donald Trump.
Right, thank you for that. So, Marcin, we seem to be in a bit of a pause in a number of ways. What should President Zelensky and his Prime Minister Shmyhal do now to rebuild bridges and get the conversation with the US going again?
I think there's a lot of truth in what Stephen was saying, and this is the reaction that we're actually seeing right now from the administration in Ukraine. Zelensky made a statement that the events were regrettable, that he's absolutely ready to sign the deal at any moment. That the minerals deal. He did mention that he's ready to engage in a truce build on equal terms with Russia, and then use it as an opening to talk negotiations. So in many ways, he is saying sorry, and he is conceding for how things worked. By the way, in the way that Michael Waltz suggested after the meeting, what should happen. We have to see, of course, what will be the reaction from the Trump administration for that. But we have to underline also that this is not just the effect of Friday's meeting that we have this freeze for the military aid. It has been on the table for quite a long time, and in many ways. We have to entertain a scenario where the US does take a step back, and then Europe has to step up to provide the support needed. Of course, it cannot provide the level of support that the US has been providing. And this is the big gap. This is the million-dollar question. What happens after 4 months when Ukraine runs out of what it has right now from the stacks from US and Europe cannot fill that? What happens when the Patriots don't come in? What happens when there's no ammunition for the HIMARS, for the Javelins? How does Ukraine fight Russia then? And in many ways, what does it mean also for Russia? What will Russia do? Will Russia use this to basically accelerate its offensive? And the big question is, how does that really fulfill Donald Trump administration aim to bring closer to a peace? I don't think it will. I don't think Ukraine will stop. What we'll see more casualties. We'll see maybe some more loss of territory until Europe will step up. So I think that this gamble on Donald Trump's side, if it forces in many ways a different relation between Ukraine and the U.S. administration, then fine. But hopefully, it will be reversed, because, in my opinion, it's just bad policy.
Understood. Stephen, it sounds like a bit of an apology by President Zelensky. Do you think this is going to get the tap running again from the US?
You never know with Donald Trump, and so I will forecast this, that now the prices become higher. So I would assume that there is going to be another unpleasant experience for President Zelensky going to the White House. I would assume that that was not perceived well by Trump or his voters, and so in fact, J.D. Vance is trying to cement his place as the successor to Trump. And so by him beating up on Zelensky, who's wildly unpopular among the Republican base, he's got 23% approval rating, then Vance looks good. So, and I don't think this is fair. I don't think it's right, but it is the reality. And so I think Zelensky is got some work to do still.
He's got some work to do. Stephen, I'll stay with you just for 1 second. We've only got a few seconds left. Can Europe step into the breach?
Look, again, Belgium has sent more money to Russia in terms of liquid natural gas payments than it sent to Ukraine in terms of aid. Poland is the military leader of Europe. And if you look at, say, France, 52% of French think that more aid should be sent to Ukraine. Only 14% of the French think that they should do it. And so Zelensky behaved on Friday like a man with lots of options. And I don't think he has lots of options.
So everyone's got to pull their weight. And it's not just about talking a good fight. Gentlemen, both, thank you very much for joining us and sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And that's all from us in this episode of World Talks. Goodbye.